Hi everyone. This month's wet and slightly bedraggled update comes from the Isle of Iona. That is a small and very important little island that's just off the coast of Mull. So I've been away on a 3-day trip exploring Mull, and we've just made a little side quest across to Iona, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's been pouring with rain for most of our time here on Iona this afternoon, but there's just been this little spell where I wouldn't say it's sunny, but I am not cowering under my umbrella, so I thought I would record this little update. But before I do, I'd just like to share with you exactly where I am right now. I'm actually standing in the ruins of what was the nunnery of Iona. We have just visited the Abbey, which is just a little bit to the left here. Absolutely stunning, but it was absolutely pouring with rain, so unfortunately you don't get to see that. So I'm going to just take a little walk around the nunnery while I give you an update of what the month of May has brought. I apologise if there's a little bit of wind noise. It is a little bit breezy, but at least it's not pouring with rain anymore. So May was another very busy month. I have almost completely finished the editing and proofreading for Steel and Surrender. It is actually slated to release in the middle of July, but the exciting news is I think I can release it a little bit earlier than planned. I haven't got an exact release date out just yet, but as soon as I do, I'll let you guys know. Meanwhile, edits continue on Blood and Claw. That is book one of my upcoming new romantasy duology. This one will be out in September, and the edits are going well. These fantasy romances do require a lot of work because you're working in a different world. The stories are often quite epic and complex. So the edits continue, although we're now down to the copy edits. So I'm really refining the details, making sure it's really polished and make sure the story and the characters really shine. In the meantime, I have actually started work on writing the sequel to Blood and Claw. Like I said, it's actually a duology, and I haven't yet released the title of book two, but I will be very soon. It's got a very similar kind of vibe to it as Blood and Claw, so I wonder if you can guess what it might be. And writing on that is going really well. I am actually up to about 30,000 words in the novel, which is about 40% through the first draft. So great progress so far. So that is the end of the writing and bookish updates. I'm actually now in the midst of the ruins of the nunnery, so the wind noise actually should be a little bit better here. I thought that I might talk a little bit about books I've already written, books that are actually set on Iona. Did you know that I've actually written 3 books that are partially set on this island? I wonder if you can guess which ones they are. My novel Highlander Deceived actually starts on the Isle of Iona in this very nunnery. It is the tale of Kiragan, who's actually been sent to live here by her parents. She doesn't want to, and neither does her best friend, who's also a novice here. And so they swap places, and Kira ends up marrying a Mackay chieftain, but she pretends to be someone else, and what will happen when he finds out the truth. I really enjoyed researching what life in this nunnery would have been like at that time, which was about the mid-15th century. My novel Highlander Honoured has also a few chapters here as well. It is the story of a young woman who wants to come and live as a nun here after a love story goes tragically wrong, and she decides to come here. She's escorted by our hero, who she does not like, by the way, but things go spectacularly wrong when they are robbed of her dowry en route, and when she gets here, the abbess won't let her in. And the third of my books set here on Iona is called Lord of the North Wind, and this one's very different to the other two, which were set in the medieval period, and it was the woman who was actually living here as a nun, or wanting to be a nun, whereas in Lord of the North Wind, it's a story of a real historical figure, Aldfrith of Northumbria, who ended up being the king of Northumbria, and he was living here. He wasn't a monk, he was actually living in seclusion near the abbey, and Suddenly, some men from Northumbria appear to let him know that his half-brother, who was the king, is dead and he is the sole heir. And so, against his will really, he didn't want to, he leaves this beautiful island and goes back to become king of Northumbria. And that was Lord of the North Wind, and I loved writing that book. It's a few years ago now that I wrote it, but that was my first taste of setting something on Iona. So you can see it's a pretty special pilgrimage for me to come here to this beautiful place. Here is another view of the nunnery from inside. So while I've been chatting to you, I have been walking around here, and you can see it's absolutely stunning. I do love me a good ruin. The abbey, which is further up the hill, is not ruined, it's been restored beautifully, so you get a very different feel, but I love this as well. So that is all from me for this month. Like I said, it's been a really busy month for work, lots of editing, but also the exciting first drafting of the second part of the fantasy duology, romantasy duology, that I'm going to be releasing later in the year. So it's really nice to have a few days off to blow out the cobwebs a little bit and get inspiration. Oh, I must tell you, I've had so many ideas and so many little details that I've discovered. For example, one of the things that I discovered this morning were 4 horseshoes above a smith's forge. And apparently the 4 horseshoes were for luck. Apparently 4 gave you the most luck possible, actually. So you had 4 horseshoes, of course, always pointing upwards, not downwards, above the door of your forge, then it brought luck. And I'm thinking, oh, I might put the symbol on top of Breeder's Forge in Steel and Surrender, which is my next release. So when you read that book and you see the 4 horseshoes, think of my trip to Mull. I hope you really enjoyed this update. I certainly enjoyed giving it, and I will see you all next month.